Welcome everyone. Welcome. It's Tuesday night. It's Tuesday night, isn't it? And we're here in the sandy beach resort of Zandvoort. We're not here for a nice sundowner, although I'd love one. Thank you very much for offering. We're here for the second race of the Constructors Championship. My name's RWB Beanster and I'll take you through this evening's format. But it's probably worth just doing a quick recap on how last week's event went. Let's take a look at last week's highlights. We started off with a packed grid. Very busy grid for the first race, 40 cars on track and nice clean exits through Rouge and Radion. Great to see everyone here for the first race of 10 this season, and nice clean driving throughout. Early on we saw Stephen Dent taking on Paul Cole for a position here from about 10th position. 5 abreast as we go round Kemmel Corner and up the Kemmel Straight. Good to see everyone keeping everything under control. And then the BMW of Joshua Barton passes Alistair Clinch on the Lecombe corner. Nearly gets attacked back, but manages to keep that position early on. Lap 2, nice clean. What developed was a fantastic race between 2 Lamborghinis and 2 Ferraris. And this was to rage for a couple of laps. The racing here between Schaefer, Harpham, Lacey and Matcha. This was just ongoing, 2 or 3 laps. Constructor against constructor, Lamborghini versus Ferrari. And it was all going to come to a head at some point. Some great defensive moves as they all pushed and defended positions. The Lamborghinis with the advantage, I guess, in that situation. Couldn't help but feel that this was going to come to a head. And sure enough, a couple of laps later, Lacey over-braked himself, exited on the pit, exited on the side, rejoined and then slightly cut the nose off here of Bart Matcha, who couldn't quite make the corner. That was the end of that race. Meanwhile, Constantinidis in the green Lamborghini was making his way past the Lexus. Thought he had the chance on the BMW. The Lexus came around the outside and he had to defend it. A little bit too eagerly, a little bit too late on the brakes, stuck his nose into a gap that just wasn't there. Rotated himself and not Banks. Out of position for Constantinidis. Meanwhile, Nate Newcomer was starting to gap the field. Good couple of 3 seconds in the early to middle form of race 1 here as Nate started to stretch his legs. Stepan Kutnik had a real off at the top of Radion, sliding through Eau Rouge and then it turns and reverses into the barrier. Far too much pace there. And you can see on board, just couldn't get hold of it, couldn't get hold of it, and then it just flip snaps and it's out. This turned out to be a retirement for Stepan Kutnik. First race saw Nate Newcomer beat Christoph Verstappen with Jensen, Brown and Badowski in 5th, and you can see a great distribution of brands, constructors across those top 10. Let's go on board for race 2 with our own Damien Wilk, wheel to wheel through Eau Rouge and Radion. You can see the moves here. The Lexus in front having to make a late maneuver off there. We get sandwiched between the 2 cars, but keeping our heads, checking the radar and making sure we're clean as we go round Kemmel Corner. Fantastic but challenging. Verstappen takes an early lead and he would continue to stretch his lead. But look, it's the white Honda that's sandwiched between the 2 Bentleys who were on the front row of the grid. So that's the Honda of Schuller making his position in front of Speed. Great to see so many drivers through the first and second laps of this race, keeping it clean, 3 abreast as they go around Lecombe and down to Bruxelles. Very, very difficult to keep it aligned, but everyone really paying attention. It's a 30-minute sprint, but great to see. Here we see a late braking maneuver as well, just putting it up on the inside and not being able to avoid the Lexus in front. Speed having to defend fairly regularly throughout this race. Some great racing. We see Stepan Kutnik making up for race 1, trying to make a move here, goes on the outside of the car there and into the chicane, loses traction on the outside, has to hit the exit to return to the circuit, only to be faced with a spinning McLaren. Meanwhile, in second and third position, we see Schuller with speed on his backside, trying to negotiate back markers, and this would always compress the race leaders. Speed's got a real scent for it here, thinks he's got a chance. Schuller defending steadily as they pass the back marker. And all of this lended its hand to Nate Newcomer, who was catching up on speed the whole time. It was compressing between 2, 3 and 4, Christoph Verstappen miles ahead, or 4 seconds ahead at least. And it would all come to a head as Speed tries to make a move up the Paul Square, takes one wheel on the curb at Blanchimont, and that's it. Spins it, and out goes Speed. Nate Newcomer inherits the place, now in third position, and gets a scent for Schuller. Gets that BMW absolutely nailed over Radion, and then with the grunt of the BMW up to Kemmel Corner and Kemmel Straight, just makes a nice and solid move on Schuller. No need for Schuller to defend. There's no denying the BMW when it's in full flight like that. Makes it comfortable into Les Combes. So Nate Newcomer moves up to second place in this race. Battles raging elsewhere. Earlier in the track we see the white McLaren here of Agoris trying to make a move here on Barton. Really making his presence known, and making sure that he can put Barton under as much pressure as possible. This went for a couple of laps. You could see he had the pace, and then again making a really safe move up the top of Kemmel Straight and into Les Combes. Meanwhile, we see a fabulous race between Tarantino, who makes an extremely brave move on the outside of chicane, gets it stuck nice and tight, claims the inside line, job done, perfect. But Constantinides was going to have none of it. Exited in the Lamborghini quicker along the start-finish straight. We go wheel to wheel, then we go door to door, then we go wheel to wheel as we head down to La Source. Really respectful driving of both drivers here, good space allowed, and Constantinides is away, leaving Stepan Kutnik to make a move on Tarantino, getting mugged now. But actually it's the top of Radion as we see the green Lamborghini of Constantinides cut the corner at Radion. That was one too many for the stewards, and that created a drive-through. That was out of position then for the rest of the race for Constantinides. So, driver standings. Nate Newcomer, Christoph Verstappen equal at the top at 1:55, Mark Jensen, Bart Mathieu and Crawford Brown in second at 1:30. The gaps start to increase as we go down the field, and I'm pretty sure there's a number of names there who'll be slightly disappointed to be that low, but these are two 30-minute sprint races, so they can be tricky. 6 no-shows for week 1 with 0 points. Let's take a look at the Constructors table, and you'll see the Bentley 18 points ahead of BMW in second place and 7 points ahead of Ferrari. The gap increases to Audi in second place, and if you look down the bottom you'll see a Honda on 130 points due to the third place position of the second race. So Mercedes propping up the bottom of the table, and we'll see how we get on for tonight's race. Let's just check that in. So we're 6 minutes into qualifying as it stands at the moment, and I will scan the table and see how we're getting on. So while I've been giving you a run through, it's Jake Moore in first position with a 1:36.489, half a second ahead of Phil Varley, with Christoph Verstappen in third place. Now Stepan Kutnik in fourth, taking over from Nippon in fifth. Nate Newcomer moves down to sixth position, so positions being dropped there by Nate. We've got HF and Marco Badowski in 7th and 8th, Kai Banks in 9th and Terry Agoras in 10th. So far most of the cars are out. We currently have, for the second week here, we have what looks like 42 drivers logged in, which is absolutely fantastic. Everyone, I'm sure, is going to enjoy tonight's event, and it's really great to be here for the second one. So where are we? Well, told you we were going to have a nice drink on the beaches of Zandvoort. Let me find a driver who is somewhere around the circuit that's convenient. I make that car 99 if I can get there in time. Yeah, let's go on with Kevin Shepherd. On board with Kevin Shepherd, he's managing the first corner off the start-finish straight. We exit the first corner, which is Tarzan into Gerlachbocht, and then left into Hugenholzbocht, which is a tightening left-hander which seems to go on. It's 180 degrees as we exit here past the Hunsenrug, which is not really so much a corner. It's flat out all the way here. Touch the curb but don't ride it. Touch the curb but don't ride it again on the right. Make sure you pick your braking point correctly here as you go into Scheivak, which is a fast right-hander, one cog drop into Masterbock. This right-hander here, take as much curb as you can and get on the gas as quick as you can. But a tricky braking, long trail braking right-hander here, which is Bocht 9 into Bocht 10, so turn 9 and turn 11, turn 9 and turn 10. And as we exit here, we go flat out again, trying to maximize the lap that we're getting here. Scooch over to the left to make sure that we're in time for Hans Ernst Bock, which is a right then a left-hander. Very tempting to get on the gas too early here, and then into Kumho, which is this right-hander. Can take a bit of curb on the inside here, but if you take too much on the outside you'll lose so much pace, because this final corner, which is Ari Ludendijk Bocht, I'm not going to say that many times tonight, is the fast exit onto the start-finish straight. You absolutely have to maximise that. That's a key corner to get correct in here. You can pretty much go flat out if you pick the right line, and over the finish line and into T1, which has many different lines for T1. You can take that wide and come in like a J-turn, or you can go in narrow and hug the curb, and that was one lap of Zandvoort. And you can see the times here are quick. It's not a long lap, it's 1:30 somethings, and we'll get into the action in a minute. We are 3 minutes left of quali. I'm just going to make sure we've got everyone ready on the server. All good. Let's jump on board with Christoph Verstappen, who's just got second. Now let's track back here. Let's have a look at Mad Al in 21st position, picking the Bentley. So from the championship table, if I just take a quick look here, the championship table has the Bentleys on top with BMW in second, Ferrari in third. Bentley's obviously a good choice for Spa. It's got the legs, it can really grunt up both of the hills, not particularly agile around the corners, but likewise you'd say that about the BMW that's second placed after last week's Spa-Francorchamps. So interesting combination, must have got the balance correct on that. Everybody is under the same circumstances this week, which is in the interim week between week 1 and week 2. We have actually had a game update. The game update has updated the tyre model. So of course that could be critical for a number of drivers who may or may not have had enough practice. For any of the drivers out there who managed to do the full 12 hours of Spa over the weekend, they'll have plenty of experience now of these cars under the new tyre model. So I think it could be advantageous for anyone who did the endurance race, but we'll see how that actually pans out through the rest of the race. 1 minute 32 of quali left to go, and I will check in on Stephen Dent here in 25th place. Fantastic looking Honda second from bottom in the constructors table, despite an absolutely stellar performance by Schuller last week. And we're just tracking so far. Yeah, it looks like it's still speed on top of the table here with a 1:36.0, nearly going into the 1:33s. Might be on a fast lap here. Let's keep an eye on the scoreboard. Nope. 0.2 of a second ahead of Verstappen with Bart Mathieu in the Ferrari. So it's Bentley, Ferrari, Aston, Honda, Lamborghini, Lexus, Ferrari, Audi for your top 10. BMW not making a show this week, so Nate Newcomer struggling maybe a little bit in this particular circuit in 11th position, and we saw Stefan Kutnik last week very fast in the Audi, struggling with some of the handling of it. Terry Arguris, Martin Schaefer in 14th. We've got Schloblom in 15th, Badowski in 16th. Damien Wilk in 17th, Crawford Brown in 18th, Xavier Eugenie in 19th, Aaron Araday in 20th. Plenty of time yet, there's 10 seconds left of this. No, that's not plenty of time. We'll check through as we get to the end of quali here, so it's looking very strong for Bentley. Constantinides has just put the Lamborghini on 4th place. and we're tracking through here just to make sure. Yeah, very spread out field in terms of the constructors so far. This looks like another promising race session potentially for the Bentleys and also for the Ferraris. BMW nowhere to be seen, so it's all for the Ferraris to take here, judging by the qualification. Great to see a Lexus in there. Lexus currently in 7th place in the championship, so some more points need to be scored by the Lexus team here. Let's just check everything's good as they go to the pits. Quali is over. Speed takes it from Christopher Streffen from Bart Mathieu. Constantinidis Varley gets 5th for the Lexus, wonderful. And Lepone in 6th, Tarantino 7th, Schuller 8th in the Honda, Harpham and Jeff in 9th and 10th. That's not true, that's quick changeover, just checking. No, all good. Let's get ready. So a 1:35.775 finally clocked up by Speed at the end there, beating himself by a good 0.2 something seconds. The only driver in the 1:35s as far as I can see. Yeah. So end of quali. Zandvoort's a great circuit. This is the pre-modified version. So this is the original Zandvoort track. It's been completely resurfaced, many of the corners reprofiled, lots more banking turns, all in preparation for the 2020 F1 Grand Prix to come, and it was really sad that the coronavirus had to make that event get cancelled, but I can't wait to see it on the telly for next season. Fingers crossed, everything crossed, because it's a stunning circuit, a really great part of the world to be in. You finish the race here, you take a wander from the paddock literally over the sand dunes, and you're on the beach with a nice sunset to finish your evening off in style with something nice to eat and a few glasses of beer. It's just a great circuit, very tight, very complex in some areas, with a really long straight giving you great advantage, with a right-hander at the end of it in Tarzan, where there are so many options to make a move on somebody. Early brake, fast in, slow out, slow in, fast out. There's so many options. It gets tight round Gerlachbocht after that and into Hugenholz, but there's plenty of areas to stretch your legs. But the track does require some quite technical braking areas. I think there's quite a lot of fade braking going on here, or trail braking into some of the corners, but we're looking set. Now this is very familiar. Two Bentleys on the front row, exactly as race 2 in Spa last week, and we've got a nice spread of different cars coming through. Like I said before, the McLarens are not making a show as it stands at the minute, and as I mentioned before, the Mercedes are a long way off. Just looking back down the field here, first Mercedes I can see is in 31st position, so clearly a car that's either been affected by the tyres, or the teams are struggling to actually get the pace out of this. If we go right round the back, everyone's just finishing loading in their settings. We are 30 degrees, sorry we're not, we're 24 degree track temperature.
20 seconds.
I'll take us to the front of the track so that we can watch this kick off. I don't mean in the worst way.
10 seconds.
So this is the approach to the final corner I will say it again, Arie Luijendijk corner. As we track the first few, actually I'll go back a few just to get a little bit more of the field in. Yep. Constantinides doing the starting on the brakes, others just trailing the brake all the way through and letting the engine take the strain and build the heat into the brake disc as we go line abreast into the start-finish straight. So just about to start race number 1 with Bentleys in the front of the pack here, and as we approach, everyone getting their speed settings right and ready to go. And we're off, green light, and it looked to me like Verstappen got a great start on speed there. He's already getting himself positioned for this first corner, but he's safe, takes a bump from Constantinides, but makes it round the first corner. So far so safe, just making sure everyone's okay, and actually Chris Verstappen seems to have lost another place, so actually Bert Matcher's moved up into second place after that little bump maybe from Constantinides. Tracking back just to make sure that everyone is on the track safely. A little bit of squirreling going on there from the Aston Martin. Tracking back, all good, can't see any incidents. Just make a quick check, the field looks pretty safe. And we'll track back as we go with Weaver and back to Volpe. We do have a spinner that looks like Lacey. Lacey has collected himself, and I think that may actually be, or keep that one safe off the track. That was Lacey spinning, and also Reinhardt. I think no, Reinhardt safely through. So if we track back and go back to the top of the table, let's get back to the first drivers here. This way, Bennett. Much easier if I do it this way. So Jake still in the lead with Bart Matcher in second place. Christoph Verstappen, who looked like he had the run on speed into corner 1, got a little bit of a bump on the back there from Constantinides, who is safely still in third position. Phil Varley in 5th, Napone in 6th, Tarantino in 7th, Schuller in 8th, Kutnik in 9th, Schaefer in 10th. So the battle rages here. Bentley's now been split by a Ferrari with a Lamborghini in 4th position. Lexus in 5th, which is great to see. Ferrari in 6th, Aston Martin in 7th, Honda's 8th, Audi 9th. A real varied field, and Schaefer is in 10th position, just tracking back. I think I can see somebody dropping off the scoreboard there. Had an incident somewhere in the tracks. Difficult to pick up. We do have Tim Tarantino in the pit. Maybe that's already an issue for Tim Tarantino, but he's already is in the pits right now. We'll continue to track this front couple of drivers here. Yeah, that's the car of Jeff, who's coming in with quite a battered Audi, so that probably was him that struggled. And there's Tarantino in the bin already. A very badly damaged Burley in 40th position. Going to have to pit that. Not much to be done about that, really. Mad Al in 39th. He had qualified, I think, a bit higher than that, so clearly he'd had some first lap issues as well. Going up through the field, looking at Merchant. He looks to be safe through, just tracking. In the Nissan, upwards to Reinhardt in 37th, with Volpe in 38th, also looking reasonable condition there. Bill Jones, our own Charger, in 35th in the Lexus. Lacey, having been an early spinner, seems to have recovered, maybe not too much damage, and actually making a lot of progress there. Let's take a look at that from the helicam. Making a lot of progress there as he tracks on to Horgan, Meko and Terencevic in front of him. Difficult to get position here. It's not an easy place to make a pass, but good to see the Lambos pushing on. This is the race in 34th, 33rd, 32nd position. Jake Moore still leading us off here with Bart Matcher and Chris Verstappen in 1, 2 and 3 positions. But this looks like it could be a potential battle at the back here as they group up to extend through the final corner. Has he got the run on him? That's probably not enough, I don't think, to actually make this count. It's very difficult to make it stick. He shows the car on the inside. Lots of late braking. I think the Ferrari in front there of Meko had to go drastic to avoid the AMG in front, the Mercedes in front. So a little bit of avoiding action as we see a McLaren taking a pole off there. That looked to me like could have been the McLaren of Terencevic. Hard to tell. We'll track that. But good progress by Lacey despite a bad spin. He's currently rolling in 34th, probably even higher position. My timings will catch up any second. Certainly got the run on this AMG in front, but obviously trying to get the handling streak. You can see he's wrestling a little bit with the steering wheel as we go external and into the helicam to see if he can make any progress. Let's move a little further up the field, see if there are any other battles taking place. You see the fields are a little bit spread out here. Drivers are separating as they take the first 5 minutes of the race. This is lap 2 or 3, and you can see we have some compression here going on there with the, let's go on board inside the Nissan of Kai Banks, who's currently running in 22nd place. Squeezed to the edge of the track, but safely so. Might get the inside if he can keep the pace up here. There's a few cars to be collected here. Got to get the pace down here as he puts the boot down. It looks like to me he might get the run, but what we're watching is Araday making a move on the Porsche, but doesn't seem to have the legs. But look at that, double toe up the inside for Kai Banks. If he can make this stick, that's 2 cars in one straight. It looks like he's handled it. There's even a third on offer here if he can push it round the side of Terry Agaris, but no, Kai Banks has closed off. That's amazing. Great move up the start finish straight there, safely taking 2 cars and getting himself right into the mix here. We've got Terry Agaris in front, Araday in front of him, and Damien Wilk in 19th position, somewhere off in the front. Great looking battle here. Just take this outside to see if there's any other interest going on. You can see he's gapping a little bit on Agaris in the Porsche behind him, but this is a pack that is actually quite tight here. So if I go to the next couple of cars and take a look back, you'll see how tight this is. We're on board with Eugenie in the BMW as they are clawing over the back of him, both Nissan and Lamborghini. It looks to me like the Nissan made the move there, but he's going to contact wheel to wheel, but still safe. Great line there being taken by the Lamborghini of Damien, who's covered him off nicely and is going to try to hopefully defend himself into Herz-Ernstbocht. No, he's let him through, so the Nissan makes his move and takes it, and so we now have the Nissan of Kai Banks right behind here, and with Wilk behind him. Great looking battle here. Good to see these cars pressing up. We're looking at the race for 18th position, and Nate Newcomer is up the road. So last week's winner, there's a slow car on the right hand side here, may have had an off. It's going to get picked up. Everyone seems to be passing through, so I think that's a Lexus from what I can see from here. Can't tell who it is, but so far Eugenie making his moves up here as we're tracking with the BMW. So that would make Varley in front in the Lexus. Sorry, we're actually watching Eugenie in the BMW. Up ahead is the Lexus. Let's take a little look back at this battle as it continues. Great to see the racing happening all the way through the circuit. Let's move up the field. This is Nate. He seems to be in a little bit of air of himself on his own there. Remember that Nate was our first and second position driver last week, so very, very pacey around Spa. Certainly getting the car a little bit sideways, you saw there previously. So moving up the field, great looking battle here between Schobom and Dahlgren. Looks like Dahlgren's kept that position in front of him. Let's take a little look on board here. Schobom is trying to catch up. There's a group here, Nate Newcomer on the backside here. Maybe he'll, if he can get these 2 corners right, he'll get a good run, but it looks like the BMW is struggling for traction here. On this Lexus. The Lexus puts his boot down, the Beamer looks interested, and he covers himself and moves across back to the racing line and takes the straight. Nate's giving an indication, but no sign, brakes late, and the Lexus holds his position in 15th position with 2 Ferraris ahead. Let's move up to the next one. Let's move up and look inside Dahlgren, who is pressing on a teammate, theoretically, a teammate in Harpham. And that would be Ferrari on Ferrari. No team orders, of course. These drivers can choose whether they want to race for the team and be safe around each other's same branded car, or whether they don't give a damn and they're just going to go for themselves. And that's one of the interesting things that will develop as we go through the season. Ferraris are currently sitting in third place in the championship on 237 points, which is about 25 points adrift of the leading cars of Bentley. And if we trail our eyes up the scoreboard, I think we'll see, because we know the leader is in a Bentley as well, that Bentley look in a stronger position so far, but the Ferraris are not so far behind. It's going to make a move up on the inside here, so clearly no team orders, as Dahlgren tries to make his presence known, but no dice. Harpen closes the door and keeps his eye well and truly on Brown in front of him in the McLaren. So if we go inside, take a look on the back of the McLaren, as we look back at those two squabbling Ferraris, they are in position 13 and 14. We're on board with position number 12, and so far we are 20 minutes left of this race, so 10 minutes have already gone, and so far so good. No major offs as far as I can see. Just going to track down the table here. Let's go external. I'm just going to track down, see if I can see any obvious retirements. It's possible that Petsas has retired. He's in the pit, and no movement there, so that would be a disappointment for Petsas, who looks like he's already quit out. We have at the front speed in the Bentley. We have Bart Matchett in a Ferrari, Christoph Verstappen in a Bentley, Constantinidis in a Lamborghini, with Napone in a Ferrari in 5th place. So there's your top 5, looking interested definitely. Let's go to the front, let's have a check in. We haven't seen these guys for a while. The gap between our leader and the next car is 2.8 seconds, with 6 laps already gone and 19 minutes left. So you can see, looks to me at the moment, the speed is relatively comfortable at the front. If we go back here to Bart Matchett, he looks also to be reasonably comfortable ahead of Christoph Verstappen. So the 3 front running cars here, as you can see, the Bentley entering the start-finish straight, they are pacing each other pretty much evenly so, and we step back to Constantinidis, who is maybe carrying a few drivers behind him. He's certainly not holding them up, but he certainly looks like he's the driver with the most pressure on him at the moment. And running behind Constantinidis is Napone in a Ferrari, with Tarantino, who you remember from last week had a really fantastic race, really scrapping a lot of the time with Constantinidis. Maybe that's one of those battles that will rage for the rest of this championship. So just to take a quick breather, what you're looking at is we're watching the Constructors Championship, and this is race 2 of 10. Each race session is actually 2 races. We're at Zandvoort today, having been already at Spa-Francorchamps, and each series is a half an hour practice session for all the drivers to get their setups finalised. A 10-minute qualification, which is very short sprint qualification, maybe enough time for about 7 or so laps maximum. Then it's a race of 30 minutes, no pit stops, no need for changes. Constantinidis is going to have to defend hard here as Napone starts to build the pressure up. So it's a quali 10 race 30, quali 10 race 30. So the qualifications for the second race are based around a proper quali session, not the positions that finished for the first race. So it's short sprint evening on a Tuesday, and we're watching Constantinidis currently sitting in 4th position, tracking but in the 4th position, but holding his position here ahead of a chasing pack of Napone, Tarantino, Schuller, Kutnik and Badowski. That closed up, so this might be an opportunity. They're all getting a sense, you can tell, that this might be an opportunity. So let's go on board inside with Tarantino. Always interesting when you're in this position to see how the fight's going to work out in front of you. We've got a Honda in 7th place. Schuller, clearly the guy who's currently able to key that Honda into the top end of the pack here. And he'll need more support, I think, from his Honda mates. Maybe he could share some setups with them to get them through. Great pace there from the Aston Martin, through there, and down into Master Box, into Box 9, Box 10. Constantinidis running a little wide, but that the Lamborghini has so much toe. that was close as Tarantino tries to put a move on, gets his car up on the inside and does a great job of handling it and keeping it out of damage. Has to defend now from the Honda, who's making a move on the outside. That's going to be a challenge, but if he can keep it around the outside, he'll definitely get the inside, and that's perfectly delivered there as he goes round Hans Ernst Bock and down to Kumho in the lead. Good move there by Schuller, making a very good pass. It's an interesting defence to take there. Tarantino possibly not thinking through how he was going to defend the second phase of that, or maybe just whiling his time, because he's really nailing this this straight here. I'm thinking he's probably going to have a chance here, but let's see if he can make this move. He's not getting much of a toe, certainly showing his face just to make sure that that Schuller knows he's there. Half open door, but carefully avoided any incidents here. All the time behind us is Kutnik, and this is a very familiar pattern we can see from these top 5 or 6 drivers. As we say that, I've just watched and seen that Konstantinidis has just let a place slip, and that's the Ferrari, I think, of Nepone, who has slipped through. And we just watched a spinner. Tarantino just making a slight off there. I was looking away from when the actual happened. I don't know whether he had an impact or whether he just actually lost traction. Tarantino slipping back down to 9th after holding his position for a while. Now he's holding off Schaefer. And Schaefer looking interested here in taking advantage of that situation if he can. So let's go back through the pack here and do a quick run through. So this is Tarantino with Schaefer behind him and Majzowski. Why the what? So that's, sorry, Majzowski in 11th position. Then we have Magnus Dahlgren in 12th. Emil Sjöblom, somebody will help me with that, in 13th. Sam Harpum in 14th, Kai Banks in 15th, Javier Eugeni in 16th, looking like he's going to make a move there, going around the outside. That's exactly the right place to put it, but closed off there by the BMW of Eugeni. Terry Agores is in 18th position, Aaron Araday in 19th position, Damien Wilk running in 20th, dropped down a couple of places, Jack Donaldson in 21st, Tom Weaver looking like he might get the run here. That looks like he's carrying a good amount of pace into start. We'll hold with this one for a second. Maybe not quite got the legs, that Porsche, to be able to actually make this straight count. But you can see there are different approaches to Tarzan that can be taken. Robert de Vries in 23rd, Stephen Dent in 24th, with James Lacey right on his backside in 25th, Kevin Shepherd in 26th, Crawford Brown in 27th, Alistair Clinch 28th, with Joshua Barton in 29th and Martin Horgan in 30th. In 31st we have Daniel Merchant with Maral right behind him. We have Charger in 33rd and Mecco in 34th. Jeffrey Reinhardt in 35th, Pablo Volpe in 36th, Sebastian Terentovic in 37th, Jeff in 38th, and we've had a bit of a disaster for Nate Newcomer, who looks like he could well be a retirement. I missed it. Yep, he's definitely been in the pit for some moments here, so that's sad for him and opens the door wide open. BMW currently placed in 2nd position in the Constructors' Championship, with Nate Newcomer one of the highest scorers, top of the championship at the moment. So this is door wide open for Christoph Verstappen. And that looks to me like that is Nate out of this race. He really was struggling in kind of 10th position. So let's go back to the front runners here. This is Speed in the 1st position in his Bentley, with Bart Matcher in 2nd place, a good 5 seconds behind, 3 seconds behind. But Matcher is Christoph Verstappen, and again these three look like they're gapping each other. The gaps are easing out. I mean, maybe there's opportunity for error to creep in here, but they seem to be just stretching their lead on each other here. A further 7 seconds down is Nepone. So this is comfortable 1, 2, 3 at the moment, with 2 Bentleys and 2 Ferraris in the top 4, which is a kind of a mirror image of the championship here. And BMW really suffering this week with Nate's retirement. Hopefully he can stick around and make it for race 2. On board with Stepan. Let's go inside with Stepan Kutnik here and check the back here, because Konstantinidis was on the second row of the grid for this, currently in 5th, so he'll be wanting to regain some of his positions as he is tracking closely behind here. But a lot of it comes down to how you exit this corner. You could hear a slight lift there from the Audi of Stepan, but getting the power down when it mattered. And I've noted it before, this Lamborghini tends to stretch its legs right at the top of the rev range. We're passing a back marker. I thought that was something odd going on there, picking up rubber, but not. It was a back marker we're passing, and we'll take it outside to Helleview. Just checking through, see where the action is. It looks to me like Harpham is very close. No, there's no one there. 0.7. He's tracking behind Emil here. It's actually Phil Varley who looks like he's having a bit of a humdinger. So Phil in the Lexus, pressuring the Nissan, trying to make something of this. Let's take a look at how hard he's working to keep that car on the road. Currently running in 17th position with Aaron Araday, 1.1 seconds behind him, and it's putting the pressure on Kai Banks. And Kai is actually pressuring Eugenie, who is currently the highest scoring BMW at the minute. So this is a good week potentially for Lexus, who have positioned some good, got some good positions so far. Definitely Eugenie struggling. That Beamer is quite hard to handle in the technical corners if you haven't got the setup quite right, and they're bunching up in this rather technical section, sector 2 here at Zandvoort, where the car balance, BMW's got such a long wheelbase, which just makes it very difficult to tuck in, as we see Phil showing that he's still there and making a defensive position as well on Aaron behind him. Great racing. It's nearly snatched out of his hands there on the exit down to Kumho, and we'll track this because although it's very difficult to pass a BMW on here, if he lifts mid-corner, there's a chance for both Phil and for Kai to make a move as they line into the slipstream to try and take advantage, but there's just no catching that Beamer. You've got to make the move, it seems, into sector 2. You've got to put your nose in the space where the BMW can't turn into, and make sure that you make it stick properly, because there's just and an off there which looked like it could have been a Lamborghini in my eyes there. I'll track that in a second. It could well have been the Lamborghini. No, it's not the Lamborghini of Konstantinidis. Damien is currently looking like he's still in 12th in his Lamborghini, in 19th in his Lamborghini. Let's take a little look to see how this was raging on from the side. So really all pressure here. Looked like that was close to contact. All good, but you can see we're getting 2 or 3 abreast here. As Araday starts to find his position, looking off the back of Eugenie, who's really holding this pack up with his BMW. Very, very late outbroke himself there, as you see. Kai Banks loses it, re-enters on the inside. He's got to yield, and then he does. He yields, leaves a place, and allows Phil Varley through. And now he's under pressure. So Kai outbroke himself into Hans Ernst Bocht, and he's defending now from Aaron Araday, who takes the outside line. Let's track this from the internal view to see, from the external view to see whether he can make that. Cannot make it stick. I was hoping that he might be able to make a move there, but you can see how bunched up this pack is here, as a back marker gets well and truly hustled out of the way there. So that's the white and yellow McLaren getting rather pushed to one side, as a big pack of cars all pile through. Good 6 or 7 overtakes as the McLaren yields in the background. We're tracking Kai Banks. He outbroke himself in Hans Ernst Bocht and has lost the place in front. As you can see, some really interesting back marker road positioning there. Really should have yielded well before that corner. Now letting the guys through. And yeah, all about timing, all about watching your mirrors and keeping out of the way and off the line. Aaron Araday runs way too wide then, allowing Damien to make a move. So let's track to Damien for a second. Let's go on board here to see what it's like inside Damien's Lamborghini. So we're pressing on the back. This is Damien in 18th position, trying to make a move here on Aaron Araday. This gap, these cars are spreading out a little bit, but I think they're all just ready to bunch up for the next back marker. We are 5 minutes left of this race. So let's take a little look through the whole of the table. Currently tracking 18th position right now. But in 19th position is, let me go, external, sorry, wrestling with all the keys. We have Tom Weaver in 20th position. Terry Agoris in 20th. Jack Donaldson in 21st. Robert De Vries in 22nd. Stephen Dent in 23rd, with James Lacey sniffing around in 24th. Kevin Shepherd in 25th, having an off. Can he hold that? He's off. Is he going to re-enter? He keeps it clever. That was very good work. He could have easily speared across the track there. He waited and he entered at the right speed, kept off the racing line. Nice work, Kevin. Crawford Brown in through next. Alistair Klitsch in 27th position. Mad Al is in 28th. Martin Horgan is in 29th. Daniel Merchant in 30th. Bill Jones in 31st. Josh Barton in 32nd. Mecco in 33rd. And Jeffrey Reinhardt in 34th. Pablo Volpe is in 35th. Jeff is 36th. 37th is Sebastian Terencevic. And Justin Burley is in 38th, with Tim Tarantino in 39th. A retirement for Nate, a retirement for Carlos Coches, and so that and a retirement for Petsas. So that's 3 retirements, leaving us with what looks like 39 drivers still on track. So let's get back to the front end of the pack, see if they're still gapping as they were. Yeah, stretching out, so it's 7.8 seconds between first and second. Speed extending his lead over Bart Matcher in second. Christopher Streppen in third, who is 8 seconds behind. And 6 seconds behind third is Napone in fourth, with only 2 seconds to Stepan Kutnik in fifth, who must have made a move at some point on Konstantinidis, who is 2 seconds down from him. So you can see the top 7 or 8 cars look like they're really evenly spaced, and it only starts to get tightly packed when we get down to the 13th, 12th, 13th, 14th drivers here. So when we look at the scoreboard here so far and consider that Bentley are in the lead of the championship with 262 points, BMW in second with 244, and Ferrari with 237, to me that looks like they are going to peg each other, Bentley and Ferrari. But the points picked up by Dahlgren and Harpham in 13th will make a big difference, because the next fastest Bentley is considerably down the pack. This could be lending itself after this race. I can see a Bentley there in 29th, tracking the scoreboards. Yeah, so it's really offering the opportunity here for Ferrari to close the gap. We're tracking this as 2 minutes left. We're looking with Robert De Vries, who's driving in the Mercedes. The Mercedes really not currently a competitive car in this championship, with only 1 race of 10 done, so no need to worry. And for those of you who haven't seen any of this series before, it's 2 sets of 5 races, so it's 10 races overall, and the break is over the festive period, so it's a couple of weeks of no racing while everyone has some time away, and they'll come back. But in that 2 weeks, while most of us are drinking mulled wine and listening to their father's old stories again, these guys will be negotiating contracts, because there's one window of opportunity to change your constructor. So you might be sick of the team, you might be sick of the car, you might be looking at the last 5 race tracks and thinking my car is going to fare badly in those 5 tracks, I need to get out. Or you might think to yourself, I need a challenge, I need a different car, it's too easy in the car I'm in. and that 2-week window over the festive holiday is an opportunity to switch out and change to a different manufacturer. That's the only window to change to get through the whole of the season. So we'll see if anything happens, we'll see if any changes happen over that period, but it'll be fun to listen to the banter as the teams work out how the heck they're going to get out of their current contract with their car and move into one that they fancy more. So this is last lap for Speed, who makes his way round for the final few corners. Heading up Rob Slottermacherbocht into Chiviac, round to Masterbocht. See how he does it. Looks very smooth from the outside, but he soars away at the wheel on exit with the Bentley. By the look of it, it looks like a finely balanced car to get the power down. This is Speed on the final lap, heading into Hans Ernst Bocht and around the left-hander and then down to Kumho, comfortably in the lead with 9 seconds ahead, making sure that he keeps that power properly connected. So this is the penultimate corner. That was a moment I wouldn't have fancied. As he exits the final corner, Arie Luyendyk Bocht to the start-finish straight. So congratulations to Speed, who extends his lead throughout the race. Very solid racing. In second position, we've got, excuse my flabby fingers, got Bart Matje. Christoph Verstappen for third position in the Bentley, so that's Bentley 1, Ferrari 2, Bentley 3, and Audi. So it was actually Napone in fourth position, but at the end there, it's been taken by Stepan Kutnik with Konstantinidis in the Lamborghini, Marco Badowski crossing the line in an Audi, and Tarantino taking the final corner in an Aston Martin. Good spread of cars in the top 10 there, because next up, and we haven't seen much joy from the Porsche, is the Porsche of Mike Zazirski, who crosses in 9th position with Emil in 10th in a Lexus. Great racing. Track through, Ferrari's crossing the line. As we get ourselves settled down for qualification 2.
Fine, give it all you can.
So, Quali 2 starts. Christopher Streppen, currently the championship leader, as Nate Newcomer was a retirement in race 1 here. So what is this Bentley? Well, it's a beast, often called the Boatley. This is the second generation of it, which has been completely redesigned, every single part of it. One of the biggest changes has a much lower centre of gravity than the previous GT3 version of it, and a weight bias which is moving it much more to a 50-50 weight balance. So despite it looking like a beast of a GT car, it's actually a very finely balanced car. Rear place gearbox has many compromises. Size and the depth of the rear diffuser is a bit smaller than the old model as well, but the design really guarantees a lot better downforce at higher speeds. Main difference is the focus of the aerodynamic design was to minimising the drag, which gives it a brutal top speed and great straight line. But as you can imagine, with a large wheelbase, it's not the most agile, but fabulous sounding motor car. I had the joy of going to some of the British GT championships, and it was a joy to hear and see the Bentley slamming past us on the side of Snetterton. Oh! Right, okay, so we just had a great opportunity to see how you should be paying attention when you're exiting the pit lane, as our previous as the Bentley came slamming round. Sorry, next car, that one really took me by surprise. No times yet on the board, just everyone on their outlaps. Let's check around, pick up a couple of cars. One of the things about Constructors Championship is because the qualification is only 10 minutes, every driver is hungry to maximise that time on track, and with 40 cars near enough out there on a 1 minute 35 lap track, you are always going to struggle with traffic. The best chances you've got is when the traffic is not actually around, or you maybe get a tow early or late on this final straight here, but the reality is everyone is likely to have some part of their quali compromised. Excuse me, maybe not as much as Christoph did as he entered T1 for his fast lap. And that looked like the car in front there might have outbroke himself. Great looking livery on the side of that, I think it's McLaren. And we're on board with Donaldson in his McLaren. Speeds put us on pole position right now. Bart Matcher very quick out of the blocks as well, with Jacob in third. So fastest lap here, 1:35.340. So Jake going a good half a second quicker than his first Q1 pole position. But Bart Matcher's made it into the 1:35s. Nobody did except for speed in the first race. So Bart's picked up the pace. That's that 30 minutes of race. Really gets your mind in the groove. Jacob Tarantino with the 1:36.111 would have probably put himself on the front row of the grid in the previous race with that time, and you can see everyone has picked up the pace. Very tight there. Radek Schuller on a 1:36.135, a 1:36.138, 3/1000ths of a second ahead of Marco Badowski. 1:36, 1:47, 1:36, 1:87, 1:86. So that's the top. That's from position number 3 all the way through to position number 7 are at thousandths of a second ahead of each other, maybe at the most 400ths. So it's extremely tight as the guys have got used to the surface, got used to the track, got remembered how they'd done the setup for the car, which should make for a very interesting 2 or 3 laps here as we sprint round. So no fast laps obviously yet from I'm missing Christopher Streppen. Stavros Konstantinidis has only put a 1:37 in, may have had an issue around that lap. Konstantinidis was on the second row of the first race. Matt Al just put in a 16th position lap with a 1:37.071. Alistair Clinch in 9th in the Audi, currently in pit with a 1:36.762. So far, just going through, Kai Banks is in 9th position. So we're looking at Bentley, Ferrari, Audi, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Honda, Audi. So we're missing the second Bentley. No sign of Christopher Streppen yet. I'll find him and see if he's on a fast lap. Nate Newcomer, I think, is a retirement. We saw him retire in the first race. He's not come out. He's stayed in the pit. So either he's doing something and he's going to do a flying lap right at the end, which is only 2 minutes of this quali session. It just absolutely disappears. We're following Christopher Streppen. His 1:37.230 puts him 38th position on the track. So let's see where this puts him. He's gone up to 21st, still 2 seconds off the pace here. So really lost his rhythm there, I think, in that second phase. He has this lap and possibly one more lap to straighten that out. So we'll keep an eye on Christoph in a second. Looking round, see where the other possible surprises are. Stepan Kutnik's made a 3rd position with his Audi with a 1:35.787. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in the 1:35s. Pace is picking up significantly in Q2 here. Phil Varley's come through in 5th with a 1:36.081. James Lacey in the top 10, Maral in 10th position, so a bit of a shuffle around here. Some of our fast first time Q1ers are not here. Can't see Konstantinidis just yet. Christopher Streppen is 0.8 of a second up on his last lap, but that would still put him in the 1:36s, although he's now moved to a second. So I'm going to track Christoph because he's a man on the move. He's a second up from his previous best, and if he can keep clear of traffic, which will be quite challenging, he could well be 1:36.3 if he can make a good exit out of Kumholm and into the final corner. He could potentially get himself into first. He's dropped a little bit of time here, just tracking through. So let's see if Christoph can make this count. There's 1 minute to go, so he still has one more lap to go here. Might actually get the tiniest bit of a drag or slipstream there. It's put him through to 9th, so considerably off his previous fastest time, trying to find a safe place to retire the vehicle. He's not going to take that final fastest lap. Maybe he'd only fueled up for one fast lap, which would make sense. That puts Christoph, the second place Bentley here, considerably out of position compared to his first front row setting. So speed, maintains his speed with a 1:35.340, which he put in very early in this qualifying session. See if he can actually improve on that right now. No, same position, but Mathieu 1.141 behind him with Stepan in the Audi, the Ferrari of Napone in 4th, Varley in Lexus in 5th. Nice work to the Lexus. the Aston Martin of Tarantino in 6th, Schuller in a Honda in 7th, Badowski in another Audi. Audi's performing well in the second race here, and the Aston Martin of Aaron Araday in 9th, with Christoph Verstappen holding up your top 10 position in the Bentley. Then we're seeing our first Lamborghini, Lacey in 11th. We've got Maral in 12th, considerably higher I think in his quali, with Constantinides behind him in 13th in a Lamborghini. Clinch in an Audi, a BMW of Eugenie, then Harpham in a Ferrari, Jeff in an Audi, the McLaren of Donaldson, Kai Banks in a Nissan, and a McLaren in 20th. You can see Agoris and Weaver in their Porsches in 22nd and 23rd position. And going down through the track here, we have 1 minute 50 before the race starts. You can see some other cars not so much out of position. Damien has put it on 31st, Chargers put it on 30th, Stephen Dent as 29th, Robert De Vries 28th, Carlos Coches in 27th, and Petsas in 26th. So Petsas, who was a retirement, is going faster on this lap, and he is going to make 25th position. So retirement for Petsas in the first race has now put him on 25th. So fingers crossed he can get this car around the second race here. So your qualification is over, and we've seen Jake Moore Speed take pole position for the second time. Just checking the constructor standing here. Lexus currently positioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th position, pretty much bang centre of the table with 193 points, but only 6 or 7 adrift of Nissan ahead of them, and the McLaren again only 9 points ahead, so 15 points ahead. Lexus are well positioned here. If Phil can keep that position, that will score very well when compared to the Nissan and the McLaren teams. Next nearest competitor to the Lexus in terms of that mid-table battle right now is quite considerably behind. Can't see the next nearest Nissan. It's not in the top 20. It is. It's Kai Banks in 21st and 1 position behind the next McLaren of Donaldson. So a minute to go before the second 30-minute race here. This is our second race of a 10-race series. We're at Zandvoort. Enjoying a balmy evening at 6 p.m. game time. Track temperature is 20 degrees, which is a good track temperature. No sign of rain here at all. And looking forward to seeing how this second race runs out. Big news for tonight is Nate Newcomer, who had a stellar performance last week at Spa, has looked like he's retired from both races here, which gives him 0 points. He's our current equal championship leader before tonight, and if Christoph Streppen in 10th place can move his car up, he already won the first race. It's looking very possible that he might really stretch his... Sorry, did not win the first race. That was Jake Moore.
20 seconds. Seconds.
formation half lap as the cars look to get themselves in order. Quite sweaty by now, already been behind the wheel for probably an hour if you did practice. It's quite hard work. Let's go into Helicam to get a good view of the track, trying not to get a concertina effect, so trying to get the cars nicely in a good and consistent speed as we track to the final start-finish line for the second race tonight, and we go green for the second race. And looks to me at the front there that Speed has managed to defend his position from Bart Matcher, who might fancy that his only chance is to actually do it now, so he goes really deep into the first corner on the outside and nearly makes it stick, but Speed closes him off and keeps his position. So Speed from Matcher, from Kutnik, and we track back as we make sure that everyone here is making it round. Slight problem I think there possibly from Lacey, and a very struggling Verstappen there goes wide. Doesn't seem to have lost any places. Started in 10th, is currently in 10th, tracking back through the pack. Everyone is making it safe through these first fast corners. That looks pretty compressed back there, but all good. No accidents. Tracking with Petsas in 26th position, dropped one position so far off the grid, and everyone going through pretty safely, just making sure we're tracking everyone. Volt there. Barton, there seems to be a gap developed between Burley, Meko, so just checking through. 39th, we've got a problem here for coaches at the back. Somebody in the pits, that's Terentovic, and Mike Skrzewski is in the pits as well. So going back to the front of the grid, and Speed having to continue to defend from Bart Matcher, who looks very hungry for an early attack here, with Stepan Kutnik not far out of recognition. And it looks to me like the Aston Martin of Tarantino might have made a move on Napone in the background as well. I'm getting pushed wide. Let's go next driver. Sorry, wrong one. Just checking. No, actually this is going to be interesting. It's both sides of this race. I think the Bentley is stretched out, so we're going to take a look back here and see. Oh my god, does my head in. As in 6th position, Phil Varley with Tarantino attacking Napone. Let's go on board with Phil Varley in the highest position Lexus, who is covering himself from Marco Badowski in the Audi behind him. So getting tricky, but having to keep this nice and tight. This is where the action is right now. I think we've got 0.3 seconds gap between Jake Moore and Matcher right at the moment, with Kutnik only just behind. So it looks like the battle's still quite raging at the front in 3rd position. It might be that Kutnik's actually making a move here, just going to go forwards and check that. No, gap is still pretty wide. Let's go back on board with Phil Varley and see if he can close this gap any further. Getting very sideways there, lost a bit of pace, but keeping it on the track, which is the number one thing when you're going around any circuit, keeping it on the grey bit. So this is your top 5 or 6 drivers, still pretty compressed. We're only a couple of laps into the race, and you can see if we go back through the track here, so far everyone's in good shape. Konstantinidis looks like he's made a couple of positions. Verstappen still in 10th position, really changed his race here, really strong at the front of the circuit in the previous race, but no mover for him as we go back a little bit further and track back. Very tough looking battle in the back here. If we go on board with Dahlgren in 18th position, you can see the trail of cars in front of him running through 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th. I can probably see 13th as well, as Maral in the Bentley is in 13th position. So far so good for the race. Just checking through to see if there's any offs right now. No, we're still in the same position. 3 retirees, so 38 cars on track right now, with 26 minutes left of this race to go, and the action is all around the field. But at the front, I think we can see, just checking as well, I think at the front here we can probably see that it's actually pretty much steady. We've got Jake from Bart from Stepan, Napone is in 4th, Tarantino is in 5th, Phil Varley is in 6th. Let's track Phil Varley. He is now up against it with excuse me with Badowski on his tail in the Audi. You can see the difference in performance here. If we go next driver, No, the wrong way around. Into Badowski's car to see what it looks like tracking down the Lexus of Phil Varley. Whoa, both losing a lot of traction as they went round there, but keeping it together. As we head up Kumho and into Ari Luyendijk for the third time and onto the straight. Absolutely too much of a distance here from that Lexus. It's going to continue to stretch its legs ahead, tracking currently in 7th place. We have an incident here. Emil, I think that's Emil, had an incident. He was off track there. I don't know whether that was contact with the McLaren. I think it might have been, but he doesn't look like he's particularly damaged. The McLaren looked like it was in a bit of a state, but actually he's dropped back. He's in 17th position. Let's just check. Yeah, he's dropped back. It looks like he's actually tracking in 19th position if the scoring is anything to go by. So just tracking here with the Ferrari of Harpham, who's in 12th position, and behind is Madal, who has Aaron Araday, Clinch and Dahlgren all over him. Again, this Bentley proving to be quite a handful around the technical track of Zandvoort. Aaron will be looking to try and make a move as soon as he can, with Clinch right behind him, so no one is catching the Bentley down the straight. But again, closing that gap under braking, that's lots and lots of gathering of time there, but it's whether you can make it stick through any of these corners as we slide through a back marker, which can put people off their rhythm. And so far Aaron is tracking very nicely. See how much more the Aaron can get the nose in on that Aston Martin around Hans Ernstbach, sorry, Hugenholz, as they stretch their legs down Slottermattenbach and into Scheibach. Again in the corners, entering much quicker for the Aston, but the grunt of the Bentley just pushes and pushes away out of the corner, and a little bit of sideways action there from Aaron, and cannot quite make it close enough to make a move on Madal. Madal's definitely keeping his pace ahead here. There's no space. It looks like he's holding them up, but clearly Aaron can't find the gap that's needed. There's one or two more technical corners as we head down to Hans Ernstbach. This is probably the best chance for the short wheelbase of the Aston Martin to make a difference. Brakes late and can turn much quicker into this left-hander. See the gaps closing up on all the cars behind. But the next two corners are pretty fast right-handers, and then we're going to be banging along the straight, which means that it's extremely difficult to pass the Bentley. You can catch it through Sector 2 and half of Sector 3, but you're never going to pass it unless you're underneath its wing or they're making a mistake. And up ahead you can see Harpham making a move, if I can get the button right. Now, you never press that button near the pits. Oh dear, I just randomly clicking. Apologies for that. Christopher Streppen, 9th position, made one position so far this race. Still 21 minutes to go, so no big deal. But yeah, moving up slowly through the pack there is Christoph. He'll be looking for as many positions as he can. Just also going to make sure that we're tracking in with Stavros Konstantinidis, who was on the second row of the grid in the first quali, but made it to around a 6th or 7th position if I remember correctly, now running in 7th, with Phil Varley in 6th in the first position Lexus, who looks like he may have lost his position on Tarantino in front of him. Tarantino really bumping the sausage curve there, but it didn't seem to kill too much of his pace as we exit down into Kumho for the 5th time, taking as much inside curb as possible, not any of the sand on the left hand side there, and then just trying to keep the foot almost all the way in around that exit. If we go in front, oh, damn it, no, never do it round there again. If you remember what I said a minute ago. Tarantino pressuring on the back of Nepone, really all over Nepone here. In fact, it looks like he might be able to make it. He's on the outside, he's in the wrong position. Has he covered himself up on the inside from the attack of Varley, who's absolutely on this now? So pressure building between these three, who are really, really tightly packed, going into the very fast right-hander at Scheivak and into Masterbach. I think maybe Nepone feeling the pressure at this point in time and trying to make sure he keeps a solid defence. Track temp has dropped by 1 degree, probably not significant to make an impact here, but nevertheless, tyre model has changed in the last week since the first week of this competition, so some of the drivers will be finding that they're having to get used to their cars. Maybe they've made some adjustments in the setup, maybe they had no time to make adjustments in the setup and they're just riding last week's setup, which will be a handful, and this, if that's the case, right on the back there as Tarantino continues to make his presence known as Tarantino makes his presence known to Nepone. He might get the run here. It's very difficult to make this stick, but he is right underneath him, and it's just, how is this going to end in the corner with Nepone taking a very defensive line, and again, you just don't get the draft, but he's gone for the undercut, and that was fantastically executed there by Tarantino, who slides it up the inside, forced the heavily defensive move there from Nepone, who lost his track position and couldn't get the grip on the bubbles on the outside, but Nepone's not going to be giving up in a hurry. If we go on board now on the back of Tarantino, looking back at Nepone, and these are cars that really can handle this in, you know, section 1, sector 2 and sector 3 technical corners. Nepone turning into the hunter now as he starts to press on the back of Tarantino. One thing is catching the guy in front of you, the second one is holding them off when you've passed them, and I think that's one of the things that always seems to be, at least from my perspective, a little easier to chase somebody than it is to lead somebody, and some drivers actually really prefer being in front and stretching their legs, and others prefer to chase down others. It looks to me like Tarantino has pegged Nepone at this point in time, but really lost his braking position there. Nepone, he's gone far too deep into Hans box, and he's going to have to give up one position at the very least there, as we look on the back of Phil Varley, who now is in 5th position, not by the scoreboard but in reality, and Constantinides has slipped through as well. So the big loser from outbraking himself there was Nepone, who has moved back a couple of places, and Constantinides now taking that position from him, so losing 3 positions. He'll be absolutely white knuckles on his steering wheel at the moment, will Nepone, as he tries to regain some of his position. But it all started by being passed at this point a lap ago, when Tarantino made a great move up the outside then / inside to cover him off at Tarzan. And then Nepone, in his haste to regain that position, outbroke himself, probably lost outside, non-sighted on his braking position. You can see he's getting squirming in the background as well behind Constantinides, who is feeling like this is his position now to move up as he pressures the back of Phil Varley. Speed has done his 8th lap, and he is 7 seconds ahead of Bart Matcher, so really that is what you call Dukes of Hazzard drifting, and he's going to cut across. They have impact, which is a shame, and I think that might be the end of the race, or really a big challenge for Phil Varley. He went so fast around the corner there around Masterbach and it just went sideways. He couldn't quite grab it. It was the super slow-mo drifting style, and he collected a little bit of Constantinides, who will have picked up some damage but inherited the position. So a mistake there from Phil Varley has really let the Lamborghini through into 5th position. So our top 5 positions are Jake Moore, Barmaccia, Stepan Kutnik, Tarantino and Constantinides in 4th and 5th position. So let's take a minute. They seem to have got lucky there with capturing some of that on board. Let's go back through the field and just check where everybody is. We've got Napone in 6th position, really trying to regather his thoughts. He's still got 15 minutes, so plenty of opportunity to do something about this. Jeff is in 7th position in an Audi. I've not been tracking him, but it looks like he's having a great race. Christoph Verstappen has come up from 10th and is now in 8th, looking like he's hungry for 7th. Sam Harpham is in the Ferrari in 9th position. Phil Varley is in 10th, having had that amazing drift manoeuvre, but he's kept it on, probably not too badly damaged. Got shoved off the track, I assume. Xavier Hugini is in the BMW in 11th position with Martin Schaefer. No, not Martin Schaefer, with Aaron Araday right on his backside. Maral still pushing along in that Bentley, but he's got Marko Badowski all over him, looking very interested in making a move right here. So I'll track this for a second just to see if anything develops from this. We have a back marker or somebody off the track there in a Honda. He re-enters, which is going to cause some problems in the background. Another back marker there as we struggle around here, but doing a good job getting out of the way. And contact there as Maral takes a little bit of a touch on his rear quarter, a little pit maneuver maybe, but recovers quicker and probably, I don't think he lost any positions, can't be sure, difficult to track. Actually, he probably did lose a couple of positions there. I saw definitely Dahlgren moved through. I think even Emil moved through as well. So Maral, a little bit of contact with Badowski there into the corner, and that will have costed them both. But you can see immediately Badowski's trying to make this press again, trying to make the manoeuvre into Kumho. He'll do very well to get on the outside of that Bentley. It's nearly as wide as the road there as we go into the start-finish straight. And again, if this Audi is right underneath the backside, he has a half chance of this Bentley, but it's made for speed, so it's just going to push its way along the straight here. Let's see if that makes any difference at all. Nope, gaining no ground. He's going to try for the late manoeuvre. Lots of space being given to him by Maral, who then can't quite get the power on the non-sticky bit on the outside of the track. So Maral, I'd say, ceded that position. He'd probably been defending for a couple of laps to keep Badowski behind him. And we'll track back a little further through the circuit. Let's go and have a look at Petsas, who's made a great race so far. He was a retiree for the first race, now in 17th position from, I think it was 26th on the quali, so that's a good 9 positions, 10 positions up on his quali position. Jack Donaldson running in 18th position in the McLaren. James Lacey in the purple Lamborghini in 19th position with Damien Wilk here. Damien Wilk just managing to get around the outside of a stricken other car, but he's holding off. So Damien is holding off Charger in 21st position. So Charger also made some great moves here. Obviously, he must have been a good 7 or 8 positions up on his starting position, and he's got Radek Schuller for company, who we just saw go off. So Schuller has dropped a couple of positions. Remember that Schuller in 22nd place finished in 3rd position, if I remember rightly, at Spa-Francorchamps, putting that, showing us what the Honda was actually capable of. So Schuller, obviously a very fast driver here, but struggling either for pace or it had an earlier lap incident. Kai Banks is in 23rd position. We've got Daniel Merchant in 24th, with Terry Agaris in 25th. Robert De Vries in 26th. Jeffrey Reinhardt in 27th, with looking like he's now in 26th. And we have Kevin Shepherd passing also into 28th. Pablo Volpe looks like a retirement. Tom Weaver, a retirement. Alistair Clinch on my scoreboard here as 30th, yep. Justin Burley, that car's not pointing in the right direction. He's having some issues in 31st position. Coaches, who we just saw having a minor off, was in 32nd position. Joshua Barton is a retiree. Martin Horgan a retiree, Tim Tarantino looks like a retiree, as is Meko a retiree, Terencevic, Crawford Brown, Stephen Dent and Nate Newcomer. So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars in the pit at least, which is considerably different to race 1 where we only had 2 or 3 retirements. So a lot of points have been lost with the retirements. I may have missed some incidents, I'm sure I have. I can't have eyes in the back of my head, so get off my back! It's not easy when you've got 40 cars in a 30-minute sprint to cover everybody off, but so far so good, as Jake takes his lead to 10 seconds. Let's track with Stepan Kutnik, who is sniffing. He's already in a podium. 10 minutes to go, but it looks to me like Stepan is on the move here, pressing on the back of Mathieu, and that is interesting because Audi are currently positioned in 4th in the championship table, which is 27 points behind Ferrari, and there's 2 highly positioned Audis in this top 10, which is great to see. To me it looks like Ferrari have nudged the second race in terms of point scoring, although Christoph Verstappen still on the move. If he can pass Jeff in 7th position, that might actually even the table out considerably. But Stepan Kutnik looks to me like he's having a charge on here to see if he can get right on the backside of Bart Mathieu for 2nd place. We'll track with this for a moment just to see whether anything develops. Nothing like the sound of a V10. Very late on the brakes there, and had to cede a lot of the mid-corner speed in order to keep the traction up. And I think the same late braking tactic from Bart Mathieu there, just covering him off. Both cars look very, very well balanced. You can see Stepan not really wrestling so much with the wheel. Remember last week in race 1, Stepan lost it at Radion quite disastrously, had to retire in race 1. He was in 5th place I think at the time, so high scoring already. And then in race 2 made some stunning moves to track up into the top 10. So Stepan clearly in the fast pointy end of this race grid, but nothing happening at the minute, so we'll move back in and have a little look elsewhere on the track just to see how we're getting on. Madal looks like he's very close. I think that means that Badowski has passed. We saw that pass earlier. Madal not really getting dropped here. He's only 0.13 of a second behind here, going up to Aaron Araday in 12th, just to see how he's pressing on the back of the Beamer of Eugenie. Looks to me like he's looking really interested in making this move stick. So 7 minutes of this second race left, and we have speed in 1st position with Bart Mathieu and a Ferrari behind, Kutnik and then Audi in 3rd position, and Aston Martin of Tarantino 4th, the Lamborghini of Constantinides in 5th, the Bentley of Christoph Verstappen now moved up to 6th position. So from a quali of 10th, Christoph has progressed gently through the field as he's going on. I think his gap of 7 seconds is too much to claim in the last 6 minutes of this race. So unless mistakes are made, Christoph will probably finish in 6th position here as we track the battle between Aaron Araday and Eugenie in front in the BMW. Checking in here because I could see we were having a battle between the Ferrari of Dahlgren and the Audi of Badowski. That was close, managed to hold it. So Badowski running in 15th position here, but really tracking into Dahlgren in front, looking very promising there. Go on board, see how that works out. Let's have a look from the back as Badowski continues to poke his way around here. It looks like he's forced an error there. A late break there from Dahlgren has given Badowski, and that's really how it's done. You just keep pestering, you keep putting your car in the face of the driver in front until they lose their concentration or rhythm, and I think that's worked. Dahlgren lost his braking position, lost a bit of traction, and forced himself wide. We've seen that a couple of times in tonight's racing here, and that's given Mad Al the moment. He's fancying himself to possibly be able to take this as the Bentley stretches its legs towards the last third of the straight, but it's not enough. He might be able to snatch the inside here from a late braking Dahlgren, but no, that Bentley's going to stay where it is. And we go out to have a look at where the other battles are. We are 4 minutes left of this race, and I can see we have Mad Al is the closest battle on track at the minute. Harpham in 8th is also pressing on position. So far we're looking at a very similar finish for Speed, who seems to have just stretched his legs out front. He is on his 15th lap, a good 12 seconds ahead. The battle does look like it's still with Stepan. Can he make this move on Mattia for second place? Jacob Tarantino is good 11 seconds behind down the road, so this is where one of the front end battles are happening, and tracking through here, that's actually probably the closest on track battle. Let's go back through the field just to check. Alistair Clinch in 28th position, Kevin Shepherd in 27th, Jeffrey Reinhardt in 26th. Let's get that right, with Damien Wilk in 25th, and they are for position as far as I can tell. So this is Damien with a slightly battered front end of his car, obviously had an incident. It looks to me like he's holding off Reinhardt in 26th position. Let's go on board and see what that looks like from behind. Porsche, very agile, pretty much recognised as the aliens car. You get that car set up and it is extremely well balanced and very precise, but in the wrong hands, like someone like me, it's basically going to be just a hammer for a wall, because I find it's a death trap. But it looks to me like Reinhardt's got his handle on Damien Wilk here. We've got 2 minutes and 57 negotiating back marker into the start finish straight. This is a very possible overtake. We'll go external to see whether that Porsche can make it. Damien is going to take a different line. He might brake early and then try to do the undercut, but no, he's going to stick to the outside and try and hold his position. And like I said before, that Lamborghini's really got some grunt out of the corners as they cross over neatly. That was a well executed move, and Damien unfortunately lost his braking point there, lost sight of where the corner was, and he's gone out wide, but he's going to hold it. He'll probably lose a position here to Shepherd, that looked like, who slid through there, but yeah, disappointing for Damien. I'm sure he'll be chuffed off his face that I caught that on the stream. So let's move a little further down here to see how the gaps are. We've got Shepherd in 26th, Reinhardt in 25th, Banks in 24th, De Vries in 23rd, 22nd is Merchant, and Agoras is in 20th. Bill Jones, our charger, he's in 20th position. His best is a 139.543, so he's that's his last. His best is a 137.962, but it looks like he's made a huge amount of places in this race, in position 20th, which gives Lexus a fighting chance. If I run up the table here, next placed Lexus is Varley, who had some incidents. That was Jeff having an off in the penultimate lap in 8th position, which could be costly. I don't know whether he lost any positions there. Currently in 8th position on my chart here.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now.
Leader is just going through the final lap, so we will see one more lap from Jake Moore, but Mattia is in second place, 0.396 0.4 seconds ahead of Stepan Kutnik, so no changes there. Tarantino in 4th, Konstantinides in 5th, Verstappen in 6th, 3 seconds behind Konstantinides. So the question is, can Verstappen actually take 5th place? No, probably not in a lap. Going through here, this is looking promising. So it's Bentley, Ferrari, Audi, Aston Martin, Lamborghini, Bentley, Ferrari, Lexus, Ferrari, Audi for your top 10. So that's 2 Audis, 3 Ferraris, 2 Bentleys, a Lexus, Aston Martin, so and Lamborghini. As Christoph finds himself extremely close to the wall there, through the Hugenholzbocht. No sweat. He's got 5 seconds gap on Harpen behind him. So the race starting to come to a close. Just checking if there's any last minute battles, and there could be, because Jeff is all over the back of Napone, looking like he wants to get a little bit more into this race for these final few turns. We'll track this one. This is the closest on-field battle as it stands. Jake Moore is going to take 1st position, but Matthias 2nd, Stepan Kutnik 3rd, Tarantino for 4th, Konstantinides 5th, Verstappen 6th, Harpen 7th, Varley in 8th. But we'll stay on board because Napone has got some defending to do here from Jeff, who is in 10th position. Jeff will have his eye on this, knowing that this is his last handful of corners, trying to work out what's the best way of putting his car in front of Napone. Meanwhile, Napone is trying to make sure he keeps him at bay here. So late on the brakes here, playing it safe. Looked like the Ferrari got a little bit wide onto that. That's not going to give him much exit. He gets on the gas earlier than the Ferrari. There's a half chance that he might be able to put it up the inside, but that's a risky move. So he picks his braking point. He's got to get as close underneath this Ferrari as he can. I can't see how he can make this gain now unless Napone has an off in this final exit. Nope, I think we're all safe through. Just tracking to make sure that was a final safe move. Some flashing of light and some smashing of cars at the end. Great race for that second one. I'll track back as far as I can while it lets me. Back to Maral in 14th position, James Lacey, Jack Donaldson, Marco Badowski, Magnus Dahlgren, Bill Jones, Petsas, Agaris. So Petsas must have lost some positions. He's in 20th. Petsas in 21st. He'll be happy, having retired in the first one. Merchant in 22nd. Robert De Vries could well be our highest scoring Mercedes. It is in 23rd position. Something's got to be done about those Mercedes. Great race all round. Kai Banks makes 24th. Shepard makes 25th, and the server resets. Whew. Well, that was an exciting night racing, wasn't it? We've just been 2 30-minute races, 2 10-minute quali races around Zandvoort, which was our second race of the season. So let me just quickly check in here to make sure I can track the schedule for the rest. Next week we'll be on for our 3rd round. I should know all this off the top of my head, but it's a bit of a leaky memory these days. So we are next week at Silverstone, 1st of December, which is almost certainly a rain race. So that's a very specific type of racing, very fast circuit Silverstone, and in the wet that'll be good fun. Kyalami after that, and Monza, that'll take us up to the 15th of December. So I hope you've enjoyed the racing. Great racing. I think Bentley and Ferrari will be still very close at the top of this championship, but from here, from me, Beanster, I'll close out and say thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you later.